welcome back to my channel. I'll be talking a lot about kind of my exercise journey and how I got in the habit of running specifically, and my journey thus far in exercising and just being a healthier version of myself. So I'm gonna give you guys some tips and tricks that worked for me and talk you through kind of some of the mistakes that I made along the way. All right, so let's get into it. Things that I have in terms of starting the running process, or if you want to get into running, is start small. So be very aware of the fact that if you haven't ran before, if you don't have a regular routine or built up endurance, things like that, you're going to have to start very small. So it may start with like jogging very slowly for a block or two, and then you're working yourself up to maybe a half mile and then a full mile and then 2 miles, right? Very gradual process that could take several months to a year to actually maintain and to get where you want to be at. But you need tip number 2, which is be realistic with your goals. Be realistic with where you're at. So be very mindful that you have to start somewhere, and you have to be realistic in terms of what you can actually achieve in that moment. So for example, something that was a struggle for me is I very much so compared myself to other people's journeys, and I wanted to kind of start where they were starting, which never worked, and it always led to me feeling like I failed, and then I would quit running and I wouldn't run again for several months. So really, in order to prevent that burnout and to develop that healthier relationship with physical exercise and running in particular, you really have to set realistic goals in terms of what you can achieve. So if the first month that you're starting, your main goal is to get out and start jogging 3 minutes at a time for 4 days a week or whatever it is, like start somewhere, but start small. Because a lot of it too is your mindset, right? Where your mind is at. A big part of running is there's going to be pain, and there's going to be muscle cramping, and there's going to be all of these other factors telling you to stop and to give up. And so making sure that you're really setting yourself up for success by starting very, very small and realistic in terms of what you can actually achieve. This doesn't mean that you aren't going to get there. It just means that it's going to take time. And so the next tip I have for you guys is tip number 3. And that is stop focusing on how fast you are. This is the number 1 mistake that I made for myself. Is, again, I was comparing myself to other people. I was like, oh, I have to be this fast, and I have to be running this fast or this quick, or it's not even worth it. Like, I'm not achieving anything, I'm not getting anywhere, which oftentimes that is what it feels like. But being able to identify, like, okay, haven't been running for several years, I don't have that baseline, I need to start very small and very realistic. And that means running really slowly until I've built up that endurance and muscle strength to run a little bit farther or a little bit faster, right? And it's also, be aware of the fact that like injuries are a real thing, and you don't want to like burn out or injure yourself, like your knees, your hips, right? Like there's a lot of things that could be a barrier too, and so you want to prevent injury. One of the ways I do that is through stretching before and after a run. That's something I implement as well. So then tip number 4 for you guys is focus on one goal, your own goal. Stop comparing yourself to other people. This was honestly the biggest thing that held me back for so many years in terms of my running, was comparing myself to everybody else and not just focusing, like I wasn't focused on myself and on my goals and on the small wins that I was making. I was very much so focused on other people, and that's not helpful, and it's not going to get you anywhere because it led to me quitting several times. So the biggest thing in building that consistency is not comparing yourself to other people. Like, take a step back. If you notice yourself getting into that mindset, focus in on the gains that you've made and on your specific goal or mantra that you have, versus, oh, there's all these other people that are out here running marathons and running, you know, this distance or that distance, or have this time that they run a mile in. Like, no, okay? Focus in on yourself and your goal, because if you're focused on other people, it's not going to be beneficial. Something that I had to do was unfollowing people on social media that were toxic or bad for me, even if they were very positive, like people and positive channels. If it was causing me to compare myself to their they're where they were at, then I unfollowed them. Because until I was able to develop that healthier mindset and not do so much of that comparison thing, I knew that I needed to take a step back from that. It was best for me when I first started to not track any of that, because I found that for myself, I became very obsessed with the amount of calories I was burning, the amount of steps that I was taking, and I don't focus too heavily on that area specifically. I focus more on getting healthier, getting outside, getting out in nature, moving my body. It's not so much focused in on the amount of steps, calories burned, things like that, because then that becomes a very unhealthy mindset, and it just makes me develop kind of a obsession with one or more of those areas, which is just not helpful for me or my health journey. 6 is to have a great running playlist, okay? Combine all of your favorite kind of go-to songs that get you in the groove, get you pumped, get you jiving and up off the couch and into your running shoes and out for a run. Now, for everybody, this looks different. Obviously, sometimes my playlist changes. Sometimes I do more like Christian worship music. Sometimes I do more like pop-ish, sometimes more lyrical music, or rhythm, where it's gonna keep me moving. If I listen to like a very slow, sad song, it's not gonna help me maintain that running pace, because oftentimes I'll run based on kind of the speed of the song, and so I want something that's gonna have a similar like beat to the activity that I'm doing. So if I'm running, I want number 7. So tip number 7 is identify the why. Identify the why behind this goal, behind why you want to start running. For example, when I first started like trying to run and then I failed several times, my main goal was to lose weight. My main goal was to look a certain shape. My main goal was to like fit in. My main goal was to please. The problem is that if these are your only goals, more than likely you're gonna burn out and quit. Now, here's the thing that I will say. Some people want to run and running just isn't their thing, okay? If running is not your thing, do not force yourself to run. My goal on this channel is to help you all, as well as myself, develop a healthier mindset and healthy lifestyle around like physical fitness and moving your body. And if running isn't for you, then don't run. Try other forms of exercise that are going to be beneficial for you, that you actually enjoy doing. But for me, it wasn't necessarily that I hated running. The issue was my why behind why I was doing it was toxic and not healthy, and that's why I burnt out so many times. So for me, the why behind why I run now is to get my body out in nature, get some vitamin D, to get my body moving, and to honestly just develop a more muscle tone in my body and be and feel stronger. And then that 4th one is to just feel more confident in myself and in kind of me achieving some of these goals. So those are my 4 whys. You can have more or less than that, but the point is identify what your why is and try to see if you can shift it from an external standpoint to more of the why you're doing it for yourself. And if you're able to do that, you're going to be more successful. Take it from someone like me who's learned from it. Having it solely focused on like weight loss or being a certain size is not going to be helpful, and you're just going to end up giving up. Like, it's not going to work out very well. So tip number 8 is to simply record any and all improvements or gains. Now, this can be anything that's even super small. Like, okay, I ran an extra minute today. I literally ran for an extra minute today, or an extra 30 seconds today, or I shaved off 30 seconds or 15 seconds off of my time for running a half a mile or a 1/4 of a mile, right? So identifying what are those small wins, or if you notice a little more muscle definition in your legs or your arms or your stomach, or just simply noticing your wins and giving yourself grace when you maybe miss a day and you don't run that day. That's okay, right? Acknowledging that instead of pointing out kind of your weak spots or those times when you failed. Mine for you all is to combine your running with other workouts that you enjoy. So if you like cycling, if you like swimming, if you like cardio, if you like weight training, if you like boxing, if you like tennis, volleyball, okay, whatever sport or whatever activity that's moving your body that you like, combine it with running, okay? On the days where you're maybe not running, if you start off 1 day a week, 2 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever, but the point is, on those other days, plan to get out and move your body in other ways, because if you start off with a goal of running every single day, it's not gonna work. Been there, done that, tried that. It doesn't work, okay? You need to start off small and be realistic with the goals you can achieve. And if you have not run before and don't have a base, trying to run every single day is not going to work. You're gonna get burned out, your muscles are gonna get fatigued, you're gonna be more prone to injuring yourself. Like it's not going to work out well. You need to start off with like maximum probably 2 to 3 days a week as a starting point. And then you can add in like 2 other days a week. I'm gonna go to the gym and do some lightweight training. I'm gonna do arms on Monday and legs on Wednesday, and then I'm gonna take off on the weekend or whatever. And whatever it is, whatever that looks like for you, find something that you enjoy and combine it, because when you're doing too much of something every single day, you're gonna get burnt out and you're not gonna make that progress or see that progress. Whereas if you're doing different types of activities, not only are you working different muscles that you're not working when you're running, but you're also combining running with some other physical forms of exercise so you don't get tired of it. 10th tip is to eat more protein, girl. Eat more protein. Eat more. You're getting enough protein in your body in order to sustain, especially when you're like getting into running a little bit more long distance and you maybe have more of a base. If you're running several miles, you need to have enough protein and carbohydrates in your body to sustain and give you that energy, as well as get kind of a little bit of that muscle definition. So my tip here is that just make sure you're eating enough protein and getting enough of each food group. And you can obviously like track macros and do all that. I personally don't do that because, again, that becomes where I develop that healthy, very, very unhealthy mindset with my body and food. I'm kind of prone to doing that, and so knowing my limits and what works for me, and I know that tracking my macros and all that isn't healthy, but I do know that making sure that I'm eating at least some source of protein every single meal is essential for me in providing me that sustenance and that sustainability and having enough energy, so that way I'm not getting fatigued, more prone to injury, or simply just burning out. Number 11 is to simply have fun, okay? Embrace the ebbs and flows that come with running and the running journey, and have fun with it, okay? Implement some new playlists, run a different path, okay? You don't have to run the same path every single day. Like, explore what are maybe some other running paths or areas that you haven't tried out in your area. Maybe you drive 20 minutes to find a new place to run because the new scenery is just like invigorating, and you know, it makes running feel a little bit more fun or a little bit different, right? For y'all, whatever, is to give yourself a new encourager each week. Now, this could be a mantra, this could be like an I am statement, affirmation, whatever it looks like. Write it on the mirror, write it in your car, on your gym shoes, next to your bed, on like wherever. Bonus tip I'm going to give for you all, number 13, is have an accountability partner. Have a friend or family member, whoever, that's going to encourage you to run. Now, it could be someone that you run with, or it could be someone who's simply going to check in with you on your running days. If you're running like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they're gonna be like, hey, have you gotten out for a run yet? You gotta go after it, like, you got this. Someone who's just gonna check in with you and kind of make sure that you are sticking with your goals and sticking with what you said you were going to do. All right, that's all that I have for y'all. But yeah, until next time, I will see you then. Bye.
Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay